Very nice to spend some time with you all. So, Paul very kindly asked me to come and talk about the power of purpose and sustainable business growth. And when I was thinking about this, it struck me how, probably like many of you in the room, I spent first part of my career, and what I was taught at university was the importance of maximising shareholder gains as the real purpose for a business, and that's why companies exist. It's all about lining the pockets of shareholders. And I started my career in that, like I was saying just now. I started at PwC and Baker Tilly, and I was working at an investment bank for a long time in corporate finance, buying, selling businesses for the real aim of lining shareholders' pockets. And it struck me that I had this nagging question that was always in my mind, and particularly during the pandemic. And I was thinking to myself, what is the cost of running a business like that? What is the real impact? What is the purpose of a business where it's set up to extract, to take from the economy, to make something, to waste resources, and where really only the shareholders benefit? And so, what's going to be left? What's going to be left for our children, for future generations, if we don't start to consider, as business owners and people within companies, what the impact is going to be on the environment, on society, on how we treat people, how we think about the value chain? And isn't there a better way to do business? Shouldn't business be there to solve problems and positively enhance the well-being of humanity? And I think as agency owners, you are uniquely placed to not only affect change in our industry, but also to influence the way in which brands think and communicate to consumers. And you have a real power, and I think an obligation, to change the way people think so that we can create a better future. And it's not just me. 55% of employees, this is from the slightly older Egerton Trust Barometer, think that businesses should be doing better on these fronts. And yet, companies are more trusted than any other institution to solve societal problems, more so nowadays than governments even. So, as I was saying, during the pandemic, when I was teaching my son his times tables and my daughter how to read, I started to explore different purpose-driven business models and how they impacted growth. And what I found was that there is a correlation between businesses that prioritize sustainability and those that are attractive to investors. And I can prove that correlation today, because one of my clients recently was sold, a company called Coffee and TV. They were bought by Omnicom towards the end of last year. The deal was announced a few weeks ago. And one of the main reasons why Omnicom bought that business was because they are bCorp certified, and they put sustainability and looking after all stakeholders right at the heart of the way they operate. And they got an incredible deal. They changed the way in which Omnicom thinks internally. And it proved to me that you can take a business on a journey, you can show them a different way, and it doesn't need to affect value. You can have both. And so clearly purpose can drive company performance and stakeholder value as well as shareholder value. So today I want to share with you some of the ingredients for how purpose and sustainability can help to grow businesses. The world is changing rapidly. I think Henry pointed that out quite quite clearly in his presentation today. And the ability to align the core values of the world's most pressing challenges and bring that into a business is absolutely of critical importance. Oops, sorry, wrong way. And when I talk about a purpose-driven business, I think there's always a little bit of a difficulty with what that definition really means. And what I always lean on is the Business and Society definition, which says a purpose-driven company is an organization that has a clear and inspiring mission, one that goes beyond profit and shareholder value. It's beyond profit and shareholder value. It's not at the expense of profit and shareholder value. And if I can get one thing across today, it's about balance. It's not about taking from one pot and putting purely into another pot. We can't move forward. I'm not an eco-warrior, because I don't believe that you can move forward as businesses by focusing on one or the other. It's got to be about balance. So let's look at a couple of examples. Ben & Jerry's is often put up as an example, and this isn't, another thing I'd like to take you through today is the concept that this isn't about perfection, it's about going on a journey. Ben & Jerry's, it's not perfect, no business is perfect, but it's on a journey where, and they use ice cream as a product to advocate causes like climate change and like real justice. And they have a 3-part mission that's dedicated to shared prosperity for all their stakeholders. Again, all their stakeholders, that's an important part there. And then another example, I noticed that it's the toilet paper you'd use downstairs, which is excellent. Who gives a crap? I think it's mainly a UK business. I don't know if you've come across it outside of the UK. But it might seem like a fun-filled kind of pun to sell toilet paper. But the reality is that it's a business that is founded on a clear mission to create a product which delivers 50% of its profits to communities that struggle with sanitation. And they focus on creating quality products, they use sustainable materials, but they do it in a way that's, yes, fun, but serves a real purpose to society, real value to society. So, how does being purpose-driven accelerate growth? I think there's a couple of things here. First is that it needs to create unity and commitment and motivation for all stakeholders. Second, it's something that drives innovation, collaboration, and resilience. And it's all about propelling a company forward in an ever-changing market. Now, there's a couple of things that I think, as we go through and define what a purpose-driven business is, that we should focus on. First of all, it attracts value-aligned customers. More and more customers are looking for products that are aligned to their values, and it becomes almost a unique selling point for a lot of products. I know that I choose predominantly products which are either bCorp or on that bCorp journey, and that's a choice that I make as a consumer, because I know that I can create that balance of having a really good product as well as making a contribution to society in a positive way. Yes, you can have a strong financial performance at the same time as donating 50% of your profits to charity, or delivering, like I do, 5% of my turnover to different charities and good causes and investing it back into society. It doesn't need to be at the expense of profit. You can have strong financial performance, and investors increasingly recognize the importance of that. You can absolutely retain and attract the top talent, as well as being a purpose-driven company. It actually makes it a lot easier. 83% of Gen Zs consider a company's purpose when they're deciding to work for a business. So attracting and retaining talent, which is so important and is a big challenge for, I know, a lot of your businesses, is purpose-driven companies are magnets for those types of progressive individuals. It also creates greater innovation because diverse workforces contribute positively to the experience of innovation within a business. And there's lots of data that shows that demonstrates it. Also, it creates businesses that don't focus on just short-term gains. It's sustainable businesses which understand their place in the environment, understand the longer-term view, accept that it's not all going to change overnight, have that different perspective, and are able to think long-term about what their impact is and how they run the company. Also, maybe surprisingly, purpose-driven businesses often have lower costs and find different ways to generate revenue. Simple example is companies that invested in green energy solutions over the previous years. When electricity and gas prices went up exponentially, they were actually able to reduce their cost base and as well as their greenhouse gases. But I think out of all of them, one of the most important is actually this ability to build trust and goodwill among stakeholders. The transparency that comes from being a purpose-driven business allows you to build stronger relationships. Now, if all that sounds interesting to you, and you think, well, that looks like a journey that I'd like to go on as a business, and something that aligns to my own values as a human, then you might want to consider B Corps. And B Corps are a group of businesses that, it says a global movement of companies that are certified to meet the highest standards of social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. And it's a growing force and a growing change within the industry. The number of B Corps has exponentially grown, whereas about 24 months ago there was around about 6,000 B Corps in the world. Now there are 6,000 B Corps just going through the process of being certified. It's hugely increasing. And that's not because it's a fad, that's because it's being recognised more and more as the gold standard of certification for a company that is purpose-led and balances what it does as a company. In fact, in a recent study, a third of adults in the US and Canada were aware of B Corp as a brand, that 88% of the respondents viewed B Corp standards as somewhat to extremely rigorous, and 63% of consumers who purchased B Corp products did so intentionally. It's becoming a real movement with huge amounts of momentum. Also, B Corp certification is associated with much more support and is increasingly recognised by younger consumers. And that's something I think brands need to be more and more aware of. So, as I mentioned, in the current economic framework that's centred around maximising shareholder value, the benefits, one of the many benefits of becoming B Corp is the legal protection that companies get from balancing both profit and their environmental and social responsibility. And they also create this community where they align like-minded individuals. So how do you become a B Corp? It's a fairly simple but quite a hard process to go through. It really does take quite a lot of effort. There's a couple of steps that you need to work through. First of all, you need to assess your company's performance, and there's a free online tool that you can use to do that. It's called the BIA, the B Impact Assessment. And it's a very comprehensive tool that allows you to determine how well you're doing as a business. You need to get 80 out of 200 points to certify. which if you think about it is only 40% score. And I think that says a lot about the process, because what it's really saying is you're on a journey. It's not assuming that you're perfect, but you need to get this 80 out of 200 points to pass. And it's hard work getting those 80 points. It does require quite substantial changes within the business to be able to certify. Next, you need to meet a legal requirement. So you do actually, in the UK, you change your memorandum and articles of association. So it's written in there, in the way the company is legally founded, that you need to balance, that you're going to be balancing the interests of all stakeholders, not just the shareholders in the business. So it is a proper legal change that you make to your business. And in some countries, I know that it's the legal framework is somewhat different into the UK. So in some countries, you become what's called a benefit corporation instead. So it requires commitment. It's not something you just do overnight or take lightly. Next, you need to sign the bCorp Declaration of Independence, which acknowledges that you are committed to considering the impact of your decisions on all stakeholders and being part of the global bCorp community. There is a fee to pay, surprisingly small fee actually, and that means that bCorp is supported by bCorp members, which means that it's protected from outside influence, so it remains independent. And then every 3 years or so, you need to recertify. So this is about continuous improvement. It's not about do it once, you get the certificate, and then you can sit back and enjoy the journey. You've got to keep going through and demonstrating progress and improve your score each time. So according to a study by Ernst & Young carried out a little while ago now, actually, almost 10 years ago, 84% of executives believe that an organization that has a shared purpose will be more successful in transformation, but a small number, and only a minority, actually said that their companies operate in a purpose-driven way. And like I mentioned before, there's the bImpact assessment, and the beauty of this assessment tool is that it provides the blueprint for translating purpose into action. It tells you exactly, gives you 200 things that you need to do to be a purpose-driven business. So you're no longer guessing, well, what do I have to do as a company? What is it that I need? It's a totally confidential tool, so you can go on today, you can sign up, it's free. You can go on, you can go through the 200 questions, it's across 5 pillars. There are different versions, so you just need to watch out for that one. It benchmarks you against 100,000 plus companies that have taken the survey. And also, and like I said before, you need to get 80 points to certify. The bImpact assessment and the way in which bCorp assesses businesses is across 5 pillars. First is around governance, so how transparent you are, what's the ownership structure, what's the mission, and it includes bits around impact reporting. Then there's workers, so looking at job growth, how you compensate and benefit employees, what's the environment like, employee ownership, environmental. So I think a lot of people mistake bCorp as just an environmental program, but if the environment is only actually a relatively small part of the process. It looks at how you manage your waste, measuring emissions, use of green products within the business, but it's a small part of the whole process. The community aspect looks at your economic impact, diversity, equity and inclusion, do you give charitably, is there volunteering in the business, how you manage the supply chain, and then the final pillar is all around customers. So how do you support underserved communities, how do you measure quality, how do you feedback from your clients and the community into the business, and importantly, how do you or do you market ethically as a company? And so it's a really powerful tool. it does a lot of things that, when I was mentioning earlier, what is a purpose-driven business, the BIA and bCorp as a whole gives you that framework, and it provides you that differentiation in the marketplace so that you can stand out from your competitors and customers can have greater trust in you as a business. It does allow you to attract top talent. I know when I'm working for clients, employees or prospective employees and clients and suppliers, it is starting to become a bit more of a tick box. Like, are you bCorp certified? Do you hold yourself up to that higher standard? Then it also drives innovation and sustainability. And it's incredible how this continuous engagement with communities and thinking about your broader impact, it changes the way you think within a business and creates more sustainability by forcing you to hold a lens up and look at how diverse am I as a business. It changes the way you operate internally. And also it gives you access to an amazing community where you can share best practice, you can collaborate on projects. There's all these other companies out there who think the same way as you do if you go through the bCorp certification process, and you're there to support each other, and more businesses are wanting to do business with other bCorp certified companies. And it strengthens relationships. The openness builds trust. It shows you that there is a different way of working. So again, it's not at the expense of shareholders. There's a new way of operating. Like I said, becoming a bCorp is an investment in your long-term success. And it is quite a commitment. But there are things that you can do, coming out of the room today, that can actually move you on that journey. You can define your purpose as a business. You can really take the time to think about what it is you stand for. But more importantly than anything, it's about communicating that purpose to your workers, your employees, the wider audience and wider stakeholders. I would encourage you to engage with your employees, get feedback from them, bring that back into the business so that you can get their learnings and empower your employees to become part of the future of business. You can assess and measure impact. So there's lots of tools available. You can use the BIA, you can use other tools to start bringing that data back into the business to make decisions. Collaborate with your stakeholders, talk to your customers, listen to their concerns, and incorporate their feedback. You can start implementing sustainable business practices like how you choose your energy suppliers, or where you get your paper from, or how you manage your waste. There's so many different things that you can do to start moving on that journey. And finally, maybe if it all feels like it's the right momentum for you, you can start thinking about that bCorp certification process. Now, it's not easy. Surprisingly, 60% of companies that submit for certification don't actually succeed in becoming certified, which is an incredibly high number, considering you only need to get a 40% score on the actual assessment. So you've really got to be serious about moving on this journey, because it is an investment. And often there's insufficient support, leadership aren't aligned with it, you're not showing that significant commitment to getting all the data prepared to become certified. So you've got to really take it very seriously. But the benefits are huge, as I hopefully I've tried to share with you. There's so much you can do by working together. You can harness that power. You can really bring it into the business and make a meaningful change. You can innovate and learn. And for me, as a father of 2 young kids, as the founder of a business, it's something that I'm deeply committed to, and something that I hope I've shown you a little bit more about what it actually means, rather than you hear the word purpose kicked around a lot. what does that actually mean to be a purpose-driven business? And there is a framework, there is a way of operating. It doesn't all need to be guesswork on your part. And so I hope that together we can shape the world for future generations, for our children. Think about our broader impact, think about society and how we operate. And I can only hope that maybe you'll join me on this journey and show that businesses can be a force for good. Thank you.